Hey everyone, it's David of Strong by Elite. Thanks for tuning in. In this video, I want to spend the next couple of minutes talking to you about how much should we try to change when we're starting a new routine, regardless of if we're experienced with fitness, nutrition, living a healthy lifestyle, behavior change or not. If we're trying to start a new routine, I think it's very beneficial for us to start as small and practical and tactical as possible and then build on from that. I don't think there's anything more difficult than behavior change because our behaviors are linked to our values, our beliefs, our character, and our identity. And if we're trying to change our behaviors, we're basically trying to change our personality, right? I think a lot of people will agree with me on that. And I think a lot of people will agree with me on that because amongst all of the people I've ever worked with, and I think I've worked with over 400 different people, varying in different ages, behavior change is really difficult. And in fact, in the health and fitness community, especially in studies, they're starting to look a lot more deeply into how to change behaviors and what is actually driving our behaviors versus trying to stuff a bunch of knowledge and education down people's throat, thinking that education is what we lack. We really don't lack education. We have so much knowledge, so much education and information out there. We're in the infotech age. We could just go on Google and type in what's the best diet and a million results will pop up. So it's not that we have a lack of education, it's that we have a lack of personalized coaching and having somebody sit down and figure out what step we need to take next, depending on where we are in our fitness journey, depending on what our situation looks like. Whenever somebody new sits down with me, and of course this is geared towards the person who's trying to start a new routine and is interested in changing their behavior so that they can change their lifestyle, we try to get a sense for what do they know right now. I'll ask them, what do you think you need to do? What do you believe you need to do in order to improve your situation, in order for you to experience the success that you want? And I think we'll surprise ourselves in the sense we know a lot more than we think. If we sit down and we write down possible solutions to our conundrums or dilemma, I think we'll surprise ourselves in how much we know and how much knowledge we've accrued through osmosis and diffusion, yet we just don't act on it. So ask yourself that, or depending on if you're working with a personal trainer like me, the personal trainer should try to set those expectations. How much do you know? And then based off of that, you can ask yourself, well, I know all this stuff. Is it practical and realistic for me to do these things? If it's not practical and realistic for me to do all of these things at once, which it shouldn't be, because behavior change is really, really difficult. It's difficult enough just doing a simple action. Then what is practical and realistic? What things can I do? You pick out a couple of things, up to 3. Don't overwhelm yourself. You pick those 3 things out, try to make a chart Sunday through Monday with boxes for each day, and then write those 3 things down. And your goal is to create a chain in which you check off those boxes each and every day with the goal of creating as much consistency as possible. Once you create that consistency and you feel comfortable allowing that particular action to fall into the background, then you add on another one. There is no hard, fast rule on how long it takes each individual person to create a habit. It's going to be different for you. It's going to be different for me. Some studies say it takes 22 days. Some studies it says it takes 66 days. Some studies say it takes a year. It all really depends on the complexity of the habit, the action, how practical, how realistic it is, what your life looks like, your genetic predisposition, your mentality, your personality. There's so many different factors, so just write them down, try to create consistency, and once you feel comfortable, add new things. Again, ask yourself, you have to create those expectations because changing your behaviors is difficult. Find out what you know, figure out what you need to do in order to experience the success that you want. Write down the possible solutions, figure out if it's realistic or not. If it's not realistic, then figure out what is realistic. Well, that's kind of, I don't know, that was a little bit weird. Figure out what's realistic, choose up to 3 strategies, and then keep track of them, be consistent with them, and see how it goes. Once you're consistent, then you add. So that's basically it. I think when you start, you don't need all this information. You don't need knowledge. You don't need a bunch of different meal plans. You just need to start small and build on top of that. All right. So this is David of Strong by Elite. I hope this was helpful. If it was, or if it wasn't, give me some feedback. David at strongbyelite.com. Until next time, start small.